Good morning to all of you. For our presentation, first of all, I introduce myself and each of my member. My name is Katrina Bibal and along with me is Alfreda Patag and Bernadine Ugdal. Today's presentation is all about strategy analysis and choices. And now, I'll discuss the three-stage framework. The first stage is the input stage. Ito ay mahalaga dahil ito ay ang foundation sa paghahanap o pag-organize ng mga mahalagang impormasyon and data. And by using this strategy, mas may intindihan at malalaman natin kung ano ang weaknesses and strength that will help kung ano ang pwedeng gawing effective strategy for achieving the goal. The second is the matching stage, wherein nandito yung nakapaloob dito yung strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, SWOT, matrix. Second is the strategic position and action evaluation, space matrix. The third one is Boston Consulting Group, BCG matrix, and the fourth one is internal external, IE matrix, and the last one is the grand strategy matrix. Ang goal ng matching stage ay hanapin ang best fit between sa internal capabilities, opportunity, and challenges na nakikita sa external environment. It will help to develop ng epektibong strategy para ma-achieve ang goal and objectives. And later on, i-discuss ko din kung paano na-develop yung bawat isa na yun. First stage is the decision stage. Ito ang pinaka-final na stage formulation process. Dito nakapaloob at ang pagpili ng pinaka-best na strategic alternatives na naka-base sa mga information na nahanap sa input and matching stage. During this stage, are asked to individually rate ang bawat strategy in the scale of 1 to 4, which 1 being the lowest and 4 are the highest. But meron ding limitasyon itong ganitong klaseng method since mostly it came sa opinion at dahil dito it will not provide a comprehensive and objective evaluation based it is opinion based. And now I proceed to how to develop SWOT analysis. Developing SWOT analysis involves sa pagkilala at pag-evaluate sa kung ano ang internal strength and weaknesses as well as yung mga external opportunities and threats. And sa SWOT analysis, meron siyang step. The first step is gathering information. Collect relevant data and information about sa mga internal capabilities and external environments at alamin kung ano ang mga threats nito. The second one is identify internal strength. Ito yung mga advantages, unique quality, or even yung skills ng employee. Identify information weaknesses. Ito yung mga limitasyon gaya ng lack of information, poor customer service. And the fourth one is identify external opportunities. Dito nakapaloob yung pag-adapt sa challenges such as yung mga current threats. And pang-fifth is the identify external strength. List yung mga external strength such as potentially competition, economic downturns, or suppliers disruptions. The sixth one is prioritize and strategies. Prioritize and strategies, the identify weaknesses, strength, opportunities, and para makapag-develop ng mga strategies to address them. The seventh is monitor and adjust. Continually monitor and performs an external environment para ma-adjust ang mga strategy as needed. Sa pagsunod sa step na ito, business can effectively develop the SWOT analysis by understanding their internal and external factors. The next one is the space matrix. a tool for strategic management that examines the strategic position of an organization and suggests relevant plans of action depending on its internal and external context. Organizers can determine their strategic stance and whether to pursue competitive defenses, aggressive or conservative tactics by using the space matrix. Ito ay isang tool na ginagamit para mag-analyze ng mga strategic position in the market. The next one is the Boston Consulting Group BCG matrix, also known as the growth share matrix. Is a strategy planning tool that helps organizations analyze their products, lines or businesses units to determine their investment priorities. Developing by the Boston Consulting Group in the 1970s, the BCG matrix accesses products based on two dimensions: market growth or growth rate and relative market share. Ito ay nakakatulong para maintindihan ang strategic position of each division in the market at kung paano ito kumpara sa iba pang division with the company. And the next one is the internal-external IE matrix. The strategic management tool used to analyze an organization's various divisions or strategic business units. Based on internal and external dimensions, it helps determine the strategic posture and appropriate strategy for each division. The IE matrix is similar to the BCG matrix, but incorporates a broader range of factors. This matrix helps para maglaan ng resources effectively and to make an information decision about sa businesses. And the last one is the quantitative strategy planning QSPM matrix. Using to evaluate alternative strategies objectively, it helps organize and strategic based on their relatives, attractiveness and feasibility. The QSPM matrix integrates information from various strategies, analysis tools such as SWOT analysis, IE matrix, and BCG matrix, and qualifies the strategic options potentially impacts. And the QSPM helps companies and businesses na gumawa ng objective decision para ma-achieve ang kanilang goals. To continue this presentation, I call on Alfreda Patag. Thank you.
Good day everyone, I'm Alfreda D. Patag and now I'm going to report about the importance of behavioral, political, ethical, and social responsibility that we need to consider in strategy analysis and choice. So, when we talk about the culture and politics of strategy choice, ito yung tumutukoy sa organizational dynamics, values, power structures, and interpersonal influences. So, ito yung nakakaapekto kung paano binuo at pinipili yung mga strategy na kailangan sa isang organization. And now, let's talk about the culture of strategy choice. So, when we talk about strategies in cultural changes, karamihan sa mga organization mas prefer or mas gusto nilang ginagamit yung fewer cultural changes. Bakit? Kasi kapag ginamit nila yung extensive changes, it takes a lot of time and effort para ma-apply ng mga empleyado and ng manager ng isang organization. So, sa next slide, ipapaliwanag ko kung ano yung kung ano yung magandang benefits ng paggamit ng fewer cultural changes ng isang organization. So, ano nga ba yung benefits kung bakit karamihan sa mga organization is ginagamit nila yung fewer cultural changes? Una, because of the ease of implementation. Pangalawa, because of the reduced resistance. So ano nga ba yung keyword na dapat natin tandaan kapag narinig or nabasa natin yung ease of implementation? Ang keyword na dapat natin tandaan is less disruption, faster adaptation. Ibig sabihin, kapag yung isang kumpanya is nagpatupad ng new rules of strategies, mas madaling maa-adapto ng mga empleyado at maliles yung cost ng disruption. Pangalawa, reduce resistance. Ang keyword na dapat nating tandaan is lower resistance and employee buy-in. So, in reduce resistance, including employee in the strategy generation process fosters a sense of ownerships and commitment. So, kapag mag-implement tayo ng bagong strategy sa isang organization, importante yung appearance or yung voice ng mga empleyado, either it's a positive or negative. Kasi kapag nasasabi nila yung comment nila or side comment nila sa new strategies na i-implement, mas malaki yung chance na mas susuportahan nila to, tsaka mas mabilis silang makaka-adapt sa mga strategy na in-implements. Kaya importante na kapag i-implement tayo ng bagong strategy is yung employee buy-in. Number 3, we have cost and resource efficiency. So, ang keyword na dapat natin tandaan is lower cost and resource allocation. Ibig sabihin, in lower cost, mas mababawasan niya yung expenses sa pagtitrain ng mga empleyado sa new system ng isang organization. And yung resource allocation, ibig sabihin, mas magpo-focus yung resource allocation sa critical areas ng strategy implementation kaysa sa cultural transformation. Pang-apat is yung sustainability. Ang keyword na dapat nating tandaan sa sustainability is long-term viability. Ibig sabihin, ito yung strategy na nagawa na sa cultural foundation at mas sustainable to na magagamit in long-term organization. Next, political drives consume valuable time, bring down organizational objectives, divert human energy, and result in the loss of some valuable employees. So, ibig sabihin, kapag sa isang organization is lamang na yung pamamalakad na may halong political drives, mas babagal or hindi magiging madali yung pag-asenso ng isang organization. So ano nga ba yung mga magiging effect pag mas pinairal yung political drive sa isang organization, and ano yung magiging epekto nito sa mga empleyado? So first, example is time wasted on non-productive activities. Ibig sabihin, kapag yung mga empleyado is mas nakakapag-focus na lang sila sa pag-attend ng mga meetings, sa pagpapalawak ng connections, yung dapat na target na work goal nila is hindi na nila mapopokusan or ma-achieve yung yung trabaho na yon. So second, misalignment of priorities. So misalignment of priorities, political agendas can overshadow the organizational primary goals. Halimbawa, in terms of decision making, so kunyari kami ng friend ko, nag-apply kami sa isang company or organization. Ngayon yung friend ko is meron siyang kaibigan or kamag-anak doon na mataas yung posisyon. Ngayon hindi na sila magbe-base kung ano yung kailangan sa isang company. Kumbaga mas mataas yung chance na yung kaibigan ko yung mas ma-hired kaysa sa akin dahil nga sa connection niya doon sa company na pag-a-applyan namin. So third, increase stress and anxiety. Constantly dealing with political dynamics can be emotionally exhausting, causing stress and anxieties among employees. Kapag lagi na lang ito yung nararamdaman or ginagawa ng isang empleyado, nagkakos ito ng pagka-low moral and motivation. Kaya tas mapipil nila na na invalid yung mga efforts na ginagawa nila and mapipil nila na unvalued na empleyado sila. And number 4 is talent drain. So, in terms of talent drain, yung mga high-perform and ethical na empleyado is sila pa yung unang magre-resign dahil nga sa political changes environment. Kasi hahanapin nila yung workplace kung saan nagkakaroon or mas nararamdaman nila yung pagkakaroon ng pagkakapantay-pantay, also transparency in terms of work. So, nagkakos ito so yung isang organization na yun, mahihirapan silang mag-attract na ng new talents dahil nga sa ganung pamamalakad nila. So, bababa yung mga empleyadong mag-a-apply or magkakaroon ng interest sa organization. And lastly, political biases and personal preferences get unduly embedded in strategy choice decisions. So, example, political biases and personal preferences, sila yung may malaking impluensya sa isang organization, pati yung mga stakeholder. Kailangan kapag gumawa sila ng isang desisyon para sa organization or para sa kumpanya is bias at pantay-pantay. Kasi yung hindi may iwasan sa isang company, meron silang mga group na mayroong hidden agenda, ganon. Kaya para maiwasan yung mga ganong pangyayari or sistema is dapat meron silang rules na dapat sundin. Tsaka dapat is para magawa talaga nila yung goal na dapat nilang gawin para sa isang organization.
Good day everyone. Hi, I'm Bernadine Biobel. I'm the next reporter and I will discuss the role of organizational cultures and strategic analysis and choices. What is the organizational cultures? Organizational cultures plays a crucial role in strategic analysis and choices. It shapes the values, beliefs, and assumptions that guide decision making within the organization. A strong, cohesive cultures can facilitate strategic alignment and executions, while the fragmented or can facilitate strategic alignment, while dysfunctional cultures can hinder the organization ability to adapt and respond to changing market conditions. It will be a big impact to our cultures na maaaring makadepende sa isang kumpanya na pahalagahan ang nagtatrabaho dito at hindi lang sa kultura, maaari ring sa buong organisasyon o magpagbabago ng kondisyon according sa pagpapel o sa paghubog ng halaga ng paniniwala ng isang kultura ng kumpanya. Also, organization cultures are influence the willingness of employees to embrace and support strategic instinct, and which essential for successful implementation. Understanding and aligning the organization cultures with the chosen strategy is therefore a critical consideration in strategic management process is a good term. organizational cultures plays a crucial role in strategic analysis and decision making within organization, and I give you some key ways in which organizational cultures impacts strategic choices. Is cultural alignment with strategy. The successful of organization ensure that their culture and strategy are tightly aligned. This means that the underlying values, beliefs, and behavioral norms with the organization support and enable the strategic direction. For example, if gusto nyo ng organization na maging successful, dapat nakadepende sa values or mission ng isang kumpanya within organizational support or mga support na magbibenefits sa mga empleyado. Misalignment between cultures and strategy can create internal tension, resistance to change, and strategic execution challenges. One is cultural dimensions and strategic implications. Different cultural dimensions such as risk-taking, innovation, customer orientations, and attentions to detail can have varying implications for the types of strategies an organization is likely to pursue. For example, cultures that values risk-taking and innovation may be more inclined to pursue disruptive first-mover strategy, while culture focused on efficiency and attention to detail may favor cost, leadership, and strategies. One is cultural change and strategic transformation. When organization needs to undertake a significant strategic transformation, it often requires a corresponding change in organization cultures. Changing deeply ingrained cultural norms and behaviors can be a complex and challenging process, but it's necessary to ensure the long-term viability of the new strategic direction. The fourth is cultural due diligence. In mergers and acquisition, cultural due diligence is crucial to assess the compatibility between the acquiring and the target organization. Difference in cultural norms and decision-making process and employee engagement can pose significant integrations, challenging and undermine the strategic rationale for the transactions. Cultural influence on strategic planning. An organization's culture shapes the way it approaches strategic planning, including the level of employee engagement, the decision-making processes, and the considerations of diverse perspectives. A collaborative, inclusive culture may lead to a more participative strategic planning process, while the hierarchical culture may result in a more top-down approach. And the last one is cultural enablers of strategic executions. The cultural elements of an organization, such as communication, accountability, and teamwork, can either facilitate on either the effective executions on its strategic initiatives. A culture that fosters a sense of ownership, adaptations, and continuous improvement can support the successful implementation of strategic plans. By understanding the deep connection between organizations, cultures, and strategic choices, leaders can more effectively navigate the complex interplay between these two critical elements of organization process. that will be lead in the successful process. These holistic perspectives can enhance an organization ability to make well-informed strategical alignment decisions that leverage its unique cultural strengths. If your goal is to eliminate cultural factors, as it is my case, it is good to know what cultural factors are out there, their strengths and weaknesses, goals and priorities to be better enable planning for planting them. Cultures are factions and delirious to the functioning of constitutional cultures federal republic. The goal is assimilate their good components into the national fabric while eliminating their waste. The goal is to create a better team in your company.